Go ahead.
Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Now, these are the grandparents on my mother's side. They were Henry Latham and Katherine Latham. And I don't know where they were born, but my grandfather was born in 1850 and my grandmother in 1854. They were born back east someplace. And I presume they came to Oregon, probably early 1900.
Now, these are the ones that came in the wagon?
No, that was on my father's side.
Oh. How did they come out? Train?
I think by train. I'm not real sure. I've heard my mother talk about being in a covered wagon, but I think that's when they lived in Kansas.
Hmm.
Yeah, I should have checked into these things a little bit more.
Is there anything you remember about your grandparents? Any things that you did with them?
Well, my grandparents, the Lathams, my mother's folks, moved around quite a bit. My grandfather had various jobs. He was a carpenter and built houses, a number of houses, and one is still standing over between Beaverton and Hillsboro.
Hmm.
And then he was at a flour mill in Jervis one time. I don't know how long, but we used to spend our summers, about 2 weeks every summer at Jervis.
How'd you get down there?
By train.
Was there a very big depot there in Jervis, or was it just one of those outdoor type?
No, there was a big depot there. But that was the main mode of travel then.
Mm-hmm.
Out to this, from Portland out to this area was by train.
Hmm.
And I think besides having a flour mill, I think they at one time had a skating rink. I'm not sure if that was at Jervis or somewhere near there.
Hmm. Real entrepreneur, huh?
Yeah, he tried everything. And then eventually, when we moved, my folks moved from Portland to a place called Tobias, which is between Beaverton and Hillsboro. When I was about 12 years old, and then these same grandparents built a house right next door to ours, and that's where they retired and lived until they passed away.
No, back in those days, they didn't have Social Security, did they?
No.
So what did he do for income when he retired?
Well, I remember he had a little, a pretty good-sized strawberry patch. And I remember we picked strawberries there, and I suppose he sold those.
Hmm.
And I really don't know what they did for income now that you mention it.
It's probably why you live real close to your relatives.
Yeah. Well, I know we had a cow. See, my father was a railroad man, so he wasn't home a great deal. But we had a cow and chickens, and my grandfather took care of those and worked around the place. We had walnut trees and things like that. I suppose that's the way they had their own garden. And of course, they owned their home, so I suppose it didn't take too much money to exist in those days.
Raised most of your food, probably.
Yeah. And then my grandparents, you want my grandparents on the other side?
Sure.
I don't have any pictures of them, but they're the ones that came over, my great-grandparents on the Dobbins side, came over the Barlow Trail. from Virginia, I believe. And then my grandmother, Dobbins, was born in Columbia County. She was the first white child to be born in Columbia County. And they had a donation land claim there of 360 acres, I think, a section of land. And had prize-winning Holstein cattle. They had a big dairy farm there on the Willamette River near Scappoose. And that's where they lived all their married life, ran this dairy farm. My grandfather brought cattle to the state fair and took lots of prizes with his Holstein cattle.
Did you ever go up to that?
Yeah, we always spent 2 weeks, our summer vacation, 2 weeks of our summer vacation with them, 2 weeks with the other set of grandparents. So that was always a big occasion, was to go to the farm and
milking cows or anything?
No, but we were around them, you know. But it was a big dairy farm where they had hired help and all that. And my grandmother had a hired cook, and they put out these big meals for the hired help and all that. So there was always a lot doing. And then they shipped their cream. They separated the milk and shipped all the cream to a big restaurant in Portland, and they shipped it by boat. And they had not a steamboat, but a sternwheeler that came by every day and picked up the milk and brought the paper and brought the mail. And so sometimes when we go visit them, we go by boat from Portland down to Scappoose. So that was always fun too. And that was really what I remembered about them mostly, was this big dairy farm that they had.
You have a big house?
Big house.
What was it, painted white with a big front porch and everything?
Yeah, and I do have a picture of that someplace too. But it was built up high. The basement was all above ground because it flooded every year. The river always flooded. And so the living quarters were up, you see, high enough that they didn't ever flood, but the water came into the basement. And every year when we go there, they'd show us the high water mark on the basement.
So how close were they to the river then, the house?
Right on the edge of the river.
There
was just a big front yard, and then you go down some steps to the dock, which was just right there in the front of the house. So that was, and then they had rowboats. They had lakes in the back of the house and rowboats, and we'd go boating and fishing for catfish, doing a lot of things like that.
About how old were you then when you would go to that farm? Just before you were a teenager or teenager?
Yeah. I probably was 6, 7 years old, maybe younger. I don't remember. But no, I don't have any dates on them as to when they were born or died. I have no idea.
Talk about your mom and dad.
You want the dates and all that?
Oh, if you have it. When they got married, maybe where they met, if you know that.
Well, are we on? I always thought that maybe my folks met in Hillsboro. My mother and her folks lived in Hillsboro. My mother was a dressmaker. This was before she was married. And my father was conductor for the Southern Pacific Railroad. But they were married in Portland. And I presume that's maybe where they established their first home. It was on Clay Street. My dad always wanted to live near the Union Depot, so he's close to his work. And they were married on March 25th, 1903.
Do you have any memories of your dad when you were young, as far as maybe like when he came home from work? Or...
Oh, yes. That was a big occasion. My dad would be gone about, I suppose 3 or 4 days at a time. He'd have what they call a run. And maybe he'd go from Portland to Roseburg and then lay over there for a day or so and then back home. So when he came home, he played with us a lot. We'd play, not the games particularly, but active games like hide and seek. And I remember that. We'd hide. My dad would find us all around the house. And then in one house we had they call a wood lift, sort of like a little dumb waiter that carried the wood from the basement up to the kitchen. And my sister and I'd get in that in the basement. He'd wind it up. It was a rope, kind of a rope pulley affair. And wind us up to the kitchen. He played with us a lot. And I remember on payday, he got paid with mostly $20 gold pieces in cash. And he liked candy. He had a favorite candy. I think it was Divinity, but I'm not real sure now. But anyway, he'd always buy a big bag of candy every payday and bring that home. So my memory of him was he was always real good-natured and played with us a lot. Just happy memories. Mm-hmm. I guess my mother did all the disciplining because he was gone so much.
So your mother was sort of an architect.
Yeah, my mother, she did a lot of things well. She was an architect. They built about, I think, 6 homes during their lifetime. And my mother drew the plans for each one of those houses. Each one was different. Each time she'd improve on it. And then she could supervise the work too. She knew enough about carpenter work that she knew whether it was being done right or wrong, because her father had been a carpenter too. So she'd sit right there on the job every time they built a house, supervise the men. I don't know how well they liked that, but she was right there. And then she was sort of artistic. She did a lot of craft work. She did painting. At one time she did china painting, china dishes. And she did lots of knitting, crocheting, handwork, made baskets. I still have one of the baskets that she made. And she didn't ever work away from home, but she was real active, and she was sort of a club woman as well. She was active in the Red Cross during the war and held sewing classes and did lots of sewing for the Red Cross when the war was on. So she was always really busy, and she made all our clothes, including my dad's shirts, made everything that we wore from the skin out, including our coats and hats and everything like that. So she was always very busy and very capable. So I had a very happy childhood, and all my memories are fun things that we did.
This is a picture, the house on the right of Grandma Holly's, the little one on the right on the porch.
Yeah, the smallest one.
And she thinks that might have been the house she was born in. And I'll focus on some other pictures of when she was a girl. This picture is of her sister Lola on the left, and her mother and her.
My cousin.
Oh, that's your cousin?
Which one?
This one right here?
This one?
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's my grandmother.
Oh, your grandmother.
Yeah.
Okay.
My sister and my grandmother.
Okay, how about this one?
That's my sister and myself.
And that's you with the long hair?
Yeah.
So you can almost sit up.
How about this one right here?
That's my sister and me.
And then this is with you and your cousin and
Yeah.
your sister.
I was born in Portland, Oregon, March 21st, 1906. I think the house probably was on Ferry Street on the east side of Portland.
Born in a house?
In a house, yeah. And
Did the doctor come to the house, or you have a midwife? Or?
doctor came to the house, and I think I weighed about 10 pounds. So I got off to a good
Bragging or
start.
complaining?
Been big ever since. And let's see, my sister was 2 years older than I, so there were just the two of us. And I remember my father was always disappointed since he already had a girl. He had looked forward to having a boy, but he made up for it. He always called me babe up until the day I was married, or even after that, I guess. As long as he was alive, I was a baby to him. But we lived in Portland all my early years. I went to grade school, Thompson Grade School, and then to Jefferson High School.
Now, how big was your grade school?
Oh, quite a large. Well, to me it seemed large. I have no idea.
Was there like a first grade and a second grade?
Oh yeah, clear up to the.
So you didn't have more than one grade in a class?
No.
About how many kids would you say would be in a class at that time?
Yeah, I don't know. I suppose about 15 or 20, maybe. We had 8 grades in that one school, but there were several grade schools in Portland at that time, so they were all fairly good size. And we lived our first home was the one that my grandfather built in the Overlook district, and it was probably about probably 8 or 10 blocks from school, and we skated back and forth to school most of that time. I wore out a lot of skates skating back and forth to school. And then my folks built another home in Portland when I started high school.
Where did you go to high
I
school?
went to Jefferson High School. Was 12 years old when I started high school.
Oh, did you skip some classes when you were younger?
Somewhere along the way I skipped some grades. And I was so young I didn't know whether I was coming or going. I would have been a lot better off to not been so young, because the whole thing sort of overwhelmed me. But so then my school years were rather uneventful, I suppose, because I was young. I didn't take any interest in dancing and parties and things that the older ones were doing. And I did go to football games and things like that, but that was about all I remember of high school. And then when I was, I graduated at 16. Well, no, I went my last year to Hillsboro High School. My folks decided they want to get out of the city. My dad always wanted some acreage. So that's when they moved to a place called Tobias, which is between Beaverton and Hillsboro. And so then I went to Hillsboro High School my last year and rode the red electric train back and forth to school. graduated from there and made many friends in that school. And we still get together for potluck dinners after all these years. We've kept in contact with these school friends, which is rather unusual.
Did kids pull any pranks back in those days in high school?
They probably did, but I wasn't aware
You weren't
of it.
associated with that group.
And, well, I don't know. I just wasn't aware of what was going on.
Didn't they tip over outhouses on Halloween?
Not
her group.
Not my group, because after we moved out to on this acreage, all our social life was geared towards parties and things throughout the little church that we belonged to. We were real active in this little church, and that's where the young people all met, and we had just lots of real good fun there. We'd put on plays, and we'd have ice cream socials, and we'd plan parties and play games, and it was just all real good fun. So then after I graduated from high school, I wasn't ready for college. My mother wanted me to go, but I wasn't really ready for it, I guess, and I really didn't have any desire to go, so I went to business college for 9 months after I graduated from high school. And
you were about 16 at the time?
yeah, I was 16, just barely 16 when I graduated from high school. So I went to business college for practically a year, so that would have made me 17, and they found a job for me. It was in what now is, I think they're still in Portland, not real sure. It was Gunderson Brothers that turned out to be a big firm, had lots of contracts during the war, but when I worked for them, they sold wire wheels. In those days, they used wire wheels on cars, and they sold and serviced wire wheels for cars. That was my first job. So I worked there probably about a year and saved up enough money then to get started to going to college. So my sister and I then went to college the same year. It was called Oregon Agriculture College in those days, OAC.
Cow College, we called it.
Yeah. And that, I think, was in about 1923, probably.
Well, that college is now Oregon State
College, yeah. And we went there a year, and then came home and decided then to get a job in Portland. And so my first job in Portland was working in the office of the Neighbors of Woodcraft, which was a lodge which provided insurance for their members. So I worked in the office there. And then after working there a year or so, I got a job at a music company, working in the office there with a raise in pay. I think I was making all of $75 a month there, so that was a lot of money. And that's where I was working when I met Gramps.